Hey there, it's Monday morning, and I'm so thankful that you are here to boost your revenue with Wholesale. This 5-day challenge is going to give you lots of good information. We're going to have action tasks that I need you to work through each day. They're not going to take you very long, but things that I want you to work through so that you know whether you're ready for Wholesale or not. I'm Lucy, and I created the School for Wholesale because I saw a void in the market where artists and creators had lots of questions about selling wholesale, and sometimes they had made decisions that would be hard to change. I have over 30 years in the retail and wholesale business as a buyer and store owner, and I created my own product line over 6 years ago and thought I knew it all. I had a great foundation, but there were many things I had to learn the hard way. I don't want you to have to do that. So glad you're here, and I hope to teach you a few things this week about wholesale and why it's such a good boost to your revenue. This quote was something I just found because I know that adding another stream of income feels like it might be hard, but when you think about this quote, it's pretty important to have multiple streams of revenue. So I believe it's the most efficient way to build wealth, but I'm not the only one. Researchers have even pinpointed a statistic. Millionaires on average have not just one, but 7 streams of income. So think about that while we're going through this week. The mood board on the left is just creating a story. It's going to be one of the most important ways to boost your wholesale stream of revenue. So one of the questions I always get is, how many products do I need to sell to stores? I think when most of the time, if you think you only have 1 or 2 products, you don't feel like you have enough. What I want you to realize is no matter what, your line should tell a story. So creating a line can be very overwhelming at first, but the best way is to start is by determining your best sellers. I want you to dial into them with everything that you have. That's going to be your jumping off point for creating a line that tells a story. So that's your first task today. Your first action step is to determine what your best sellers are and figure out how you can dial into them with everything that you have. So your best sellers can do it all. As creators, we want to create. It's hard to just pick one thing and stick with it. This point is very important to understand. The buyers will get overwhelmed with too many choices. And once you decide what your best sellers are, you can add variations to them. Color, scent, sizes, and any variation for your product can be a part of your line that gives the buyer a choice. But she needs to know what you're selling and can learn to tell that story behind it. So I want you to think about, if you're going to go to market, if you're going to set up a booth at market, you want people to be able to, the buyers to be able to walk into your booth, know exactly what you sell, and be able to want to know what that story is. If they walk into your booth and you're selling cups and t-shirts and jewelry and remote control cars, they're not going to know who you are or what you're doing. And so as artists, you want to present a beautiful story with your booth, and you want it to be simplified but beautiful. So you can do that with those best sellers and just add those variations. How do your products tell a story? I want you to think about your store, your in-store display. So if you were to think of your favorite store, your dream store, where you would love to have your products, I want you to imagine what your line looks like in that store. Is it on a display? Is it on a table, freestanding? If you could create a perfect package and ship that to each store, what would it look like? So it might have in-store signage. I'm not talking big banners that are hanging from the ceiling, but I'm talking about, adding your logo to that signage, making sure that you have artist cards that tell more about you. I want you to think of anything that you need to show that you are represented well inside the store and that tells more of who you are. So the most important part here is educating that sales team. So it may be one person that owns the store, or they may have a full sales team. It's very important when it comes to selling your line in the store. The sales team needs to know your story and be invested in selling your products. So connecting with that sales team, telling them your story and helping them understand why it's so important, and then making sure that they can pass that along to the customer is really a great way to tell your story. So creating a line instead of creating new products all the time. This feels like something, as an artist or creative, we want to just create new stuff all the time. But when you create a line that, is going to tell this story, that you're going to be able to hone into those bestsellers, What's going to make this special is it's going to give you a schedule. So it's going to make your life easier. You know when you're going to buy your supplies, when you're going to have to produce the products, when you're going to plan your marketing, and then reorder based on the store's calendars. So most stores are 2+ months ahead buying what's selling, exactly immediately. Depending on what industry you're in, it could be more than that. Some clothing industries are a lot farther ahead. Some are fast fashion, and they're selling things immediately now too. So I want you to think about what your industry is and how far ahead your buyers are going to be buying. Sometimes we'll go to market and buy Christmas in January, and then it's not going to ship until September. But what this does for you is it's going to give you that schedule. So you're going to know when to buy supplies. The unique feature of that is that you can buy those supplies in bulk because you already know what your orders are. That's going to lower your costs, and it's going to give you better margins. So I want you to think about how much easier your life's going to be when you're on a schedule and you know exactly what you're producing. So creating that line is going to be important here. So my little special guarantee is not worrying about where your next sale is coming from. Once you create a relationship with the buyer, they're going to want more from you. So that brings me to tomorrow. On Tuesday, we're going to talk about how to find buyers, how to reach out to them, and what information do they need. This is a very popular question. A lot of people, want to know, what does a buyer want? What if I get a no? What if they don't respond? Do I just walk in the store? There's so many questions when it comes to reaching out to buyers, and we're going to answer all those tomorrow. So I hope you'll stick around and join us in the Facebook group if you haven't already. If you have questions from this video today, ask those in the Facebook group. I'll be jumping in there to answer a lot of those. And then stay tuned for the rest of the week, and we'll learn as we go. Have a great Monday.